This is a chilling set of 5 unsettling stories, each one more eerie and real than the last. Trust me, by the end, you'll realize that some of these things could happen right next door. A boy wakes up every morning, waiting by his door, eager to catch a glimpse of the beautiful flight attendant next door as she leaves for work. He times it perfectly to open his door at the same time, using it as cover to secretly snap photos of her with his phone. He becomes obsessed with her daily outfits and the way she looks, watching her from a distance as she passes by. His obsession grows. Every day, he pretends to head to work just to ride the elevator with her, creating his own romantic encounters in his mind. One lucky day, while the elevator doors close, his fingers accidentally brush against hers. His heart races. Could this be love? But before he can savor the moment, the elevator reaches the first floor. Just when he thinks the excitement is over, the flight attendant gives him a glance and a smile. Their eyes meet, and the boy is lost. Is this the beginning of his happiness? He breathes in her lingering scent, lost in daydreams. As days go by, his obsession deepens. He spends hours watching her videos, unable to sleep unless he does. He's even started listening in on her when she's in the shower. But the boy is no longer content with just observing from afar. He wants more. He wants to know everything about her, her life, her every move. Watching couples kiss and embrace outside, he finally gathers the courage to take things to the next level. He makes a shocking decision. He's going to invade her privacy. One rainy day, he scales the side of the building, ignoring the risk, and sneaks into her apartment. Once inside, he eagerly jumps onto her bed, inhaling the scent of her pillow. Unbeknownst to him, someone is watching from the closet. The boy then moves to the bathroom, snapping pictures and even brushing his teeth with her toothbrush. Suddenly, he hears a noise. Panicked, he realizes the flight attendant has returned home early. He quickly hides under the bed. When she entered, she noticed the slippers scattered in the bathroom. Realizing someone had been there, but instead of confronting him, she calmly untied her scarf and spoke to the air. There's no one else here.
언제까지 숨어 있을 건데? 나 지금 쏠려서 미칠 것 같단 말이야. 더 이상 못 참겠어. 어떻게 좀 해줘.
Is she talking to herself, or to him? Then, without warning, she strips off her clothes and walks straight into the bathroom. The boy, still frozen under the bed, considers escaping, but then, the flight attendant throws out one last line. After everything that's happened, he believes she's making an advance, and foolishly, he accepts the unspoken invitation. Gathering his courage, he approaches the bathroom door. As he reached for the doorknob, the bathroom door suddenly opened. Their eyes lock in shock. He stands there, frozen, about to confess his feelings, when suddenly, a thug barges in. The boy is left in disbelief as the thug exchanges a look with the flight attendant. Only then does the boy realize they are a couple and he's been living in a nightmare. As he retreats, trying to explain himself, the closet door swings open, revealing a cold, lifeless body. At that moment, the boy realizes the horrifying truth. The flight attendant and her thug are serial killers. But it's too late. Knowing the truth, the boy is doomed. With a final scream, he collapses to the floor, paying the ultimate price for his foolishness. This version is designed to be engaging and suspenseful while keeping the original chilling tone. Late at night, a man stops by a vending machine to buy a drink but stumbles upon a love letter instead. Inside the envelope is a $100 bill and a flirtatious message. The letter encourages him to believe in fate, in destined encounters. The man scoffs, dismissing the letter and putting it back. But then, the thought lingers. What if it is fate? What if he's about to miss out on something truly meant for him? Curiosity gets the best of him. He retrieves the letter and, following the instructions inside, soon finds himself at another vending machine. Just like the first one, there's another love letter. This time, the letter is more peculiar. It claims that only people with type A or B blood can continue the game. Others must stop here. The letter's strange challenge piques his interest. He's amused and decides to follow the trail, eager to see where it leads. Following the instructions, he walks 120 steps, then encounters a third vending machine with another letter. This one reveals more details about the girl. She's a Virgo, hoping to meet a Taurus for a fateful relationship. The man pulls out his phone and, to his surprise, finds that their astrological compatibility is a whopping 95%. Being a Taurus himself, he's excited. Could this really be his destiny? He follows the next set of instructions, walking through a tunnel, down an alley, and finally arriving at an old vanity table. Inside the drawer, he finds another envelope. This time, it contains a photo of the girl young, beautiful, and radiant. The man, who's been single for 30 years, can't believe his luck. Finally, it seems like fate is on his side. The letter gives him one last set of directions: walk 100 more steps, and he'll reach his destination. He eagerly sets off. As he walks, he's stunned to find a white heart-shaped design made of flower petals, an elaborate symbol of affection. Moved by the effort and thoughtfulness, he steps into the center of the flower circle and dials the girl's number.
여보세요?
여보세요?
On the other end, the girl's voice instructs him to stand still. If he does, she'll appear before him. Without hesitation, he agrees and waits eagerly, following her instructions. Excited, he pulls out his phone to record the beautiful scene before him. Just then, a gust of wind blows a $100 bill his way. It seemed like his luck was finally turning. He bent down to pick it up, but in the next second, the girl has kept her promise, but not in the way he expected. With a loud crash, she falls heavily in front of him, terrifying him to the core. As he looks up at the open window above and the flower wreath below, he suddenly realizes the truth. This destined encounter was nothing more than a trap set by a hunter. The news report flashed a warning: a serial killer targeting women had been spotted nearby. The woman, watching the broadcast, paused, deep in thought. Just then, the doorbell rang. It was a repairman. He kept repeating that he needed to check the fire alarm. Half suspicious, the woman opened the door, but once the repairman stepped inside, his words became increasingly unnerving. While inspecting the alarm, the repairman, whether intentionally or not, unzipped his pants, and his wandering eyes made it clear he wasn't just some harmless technician. Even if he wasn't a creep, he definitely wasn't a good guy. The woman, growing more uneasy, quickly shut the bedroom door behind her. Meanwhile, the repairman continued to inspect the alarm. All while chatting casually, he asked if she lived alone, a question that felt more like a test than small talk. The woman didn't say much. She wanted nothing to do with him. Then, the repairman mentioned the recent string of murders, pointing out that all the victims were women living alone. The woman shuddered, seemingly frightened. She instantly regretted letting this stranger into her home. Finally, the repairman, without asking, walked into her bedroom. On the bed was a set of her sexy pajamas. He looked at them and gave a sinister smile. Sensing something was wrong, the woman quickly lied, claiming that a friend was coming over, and told the repairman to leave. But the repairman just laughed it off. He walked over to her, betting that she had no one coming over. With her lie exposed, the woman instinctively avoided looking him in the eye. The more she acted nervous, the more he seemed to enjoy the power he held over her. The repairman walked toward the bathroom, his words sounding more like a threat than a casual remark.
오줌 싸고 나와서 제대로 해드릴게.
At this point, the woman was completely panicked. She rushed back to the bedroom, grabbed a stun gun for self-defense, then turned off all the lights in the house. She quietly crept to the bathroom door, planning to strike as soon as the repairman stepped out. But just then, the TV and the robot vacuum, which were on timers, suddenly powered up. The noise startled her, and in that moment of distraction, the repairman lunged at her, his face twisted in fury. He'd already caught onto her plan and grabbed her by the neck, choking her. But just when her life seemed to hang by a thread, the repairman slipped on the vacuum and fell to the ground. Just when she thought she had finally escaped danger, the TV came back on with the news, and the story took its biggest twist. The police released a video of the serial killer. Unexpectedly, the killer turned out to be a woman, slim, seductive, and stunningly beautiful, just like the woman standing in front of the repairman. The woman, now realizing the repairman wasn't a cop, stopped pretending. Without hesitation, she picked up a fruit knife and finished what she had started, taking out the repairman. In his final moments, the repairman likely couldn't fathom how such a typical, everyday horror story had unfolded right before his eyes. An elderly woman in a wheelchair got stuck in a tree pit and couldn't push herself out no matter how hard she tried. A young boy, waiting for the bus nearby, saw this and immediately offered his help. He walked over behind her and, using his strength, pushed the wheelchair free. The woman was deeply grateful, praising the boy for his kindness and saying he had a gentle, kind-hearted face. But just as the boy was about to leave, the The woman somehow managed to get stuck in a second tree pit. Watching this, I felt an overwhelming urge to cringe at how absurd the situation was. But the boy, seeing the woman's plight, was determined to help her to the end. He pushed her wheelchair out again and insisted on escorting her home. It didn't make sense if she could go out on her own. Surely she could get back home by herself. I couldn't understand why the boy's kindness seemed so cheap. On the way, the woman pulled out a brand new folding phone and called her family, telling them someone was helping her home and she'd be there in about 30 minutes. The phone call struck me as strangely familiar, almost like a delivery notification for takeout. The boy pushed the woman westward. They passed through bumpy alleys and climbed steep slopes, making the 30-minute journey a real struggle. But despite the exhaustion, the boy didn't feel tired at all. He had become so immersed in the woman's praise that he couldn't pull himself out of it. Her constant compliments, each one dripping with positivity, made him lose his sense of self. She even offered him a small dog as a token of gratitude. The boy, overjoyed, accepted. But when they arrived at the bottom of her building, the sight in front of him left him speechless. The dilapidated building reeked of decay, showing no signs of anyone living there. Noticing the boy's hesitation, the woman immediately called her daughter, ordering her to bring out the dog. Without waiting for the boy to react, she insisted that he escort her all the way to the elevator. The light inside the building was dim, almost pitch black, with no sign of anyone else. The boy, heart pounding, cautiously moved forward. The silence was deafening, with only the sound of his nervous heartbeat. He finally reached the elevator. Looking at the old elevator slowly descending, the boy started to realize something wasn't right. He let go of the wheelchair, feeling a little disoriented. The woman quickly pulled out a photo of the dog, urging the boy to look at it, while emphasizing that she would definitely give him one. But as the boy flipped through the photos, he accidentally stumbled upon pictures of the woman smoking, drinking, and even getting a perm. That's when the boy finally sensed the danger. He wanted to escape, but the woman had already grabbed his backpack with a vice-like grip. As the elevator reached the second floor, the boy struggled desperately. The woman stopped pretending and revealed her true self. Not only did she stand up, but she also grabbed him fiercely. Just as the elevator doors opened, two burly men stepped out. The boy, now completely terrified, had only one thought in mind: escape at any cost. The men dropped the small dog and chased after him relentlessly. The boy sprinted towards the building's front door, but it was already locked. Desperate, he ran through the building, looking for another exit. He managed to push some junk out of the way to buy himself some time. But just when he thought he was almost free, a man outside the door reached out and grabbed him by the arm, pulling him back inside. And so, the boy fell into the abyss. So, when you're doing a good deed and someone tries to emotionally manipulate you, whether by guilt or using a cute puppy to lure you into continuing your kindness, remember this: don't let your reluctance to say no drag you into danger. The best thing to do? Run. A girl matched with a mysterious user on a dating app, whose profile picture was a cat emoji. They arranged to meet in person, but the man kept postponing the meeting, leaving the girl incredibly disappointed. Even news reports about killers using dating apps to prey on victims didn't catch her attention. Feeling frustrated, she stood up to go to the bathroom and freshen up. Just as she was about to step out, she received a message from the guy, saying he had finally arrived at the meeting spot and asking what she looked like. Without thinking much, she told him she was carrying a yellow bag. But while she was washing her hands, something strange happened. The man messaged again, claiming he had found her. The girl was confused. How could he have found her? She was still in the restroom. So who had he found? As she wondered, a chilling news report came through. Another murder had just occurred. Curious, the girl and the others nearby went to see the crime scene. But when she approached, she froze. She saw that the victim was carrying the same yellow bag she had described. Panicked, she hurriedly clutched her bag, slowly backing away from the crowd. Her heart raced as she realized she had narrowly escaped a deadly encounter. The victim had taken the blow for her. Still shaken, she quickly left and dialed her friend's number for help. Back in her apartment, she tried to calm herself down, but just as the elevator doors were about to close, a woman in black rushed in, making the girl freeze. The elevator was eerily silent. Just then, her phone rang. She glanced at it. It was a message from the dating app. Match successful. At the same time, the woman in black pulled out her own phone, and there it was again, the cat emoji. That's when the girl realized the woman in black was the killer. The woman dropped her disguise. With a wicked grin, she pulled out a knife and started to move toward the girl, like a predator stalking its prey. In the final moments of the story, the black-clad woman covered the girl's mouth and stabbed her in the stomach multiple times. Unable to fight back, The girl crumpled to the floor, her body numb. Under the gaze of the demon in front of her, she took her last breath.